Okay, so we're gonna start standing up. And in your mountain pose, just start to lift your toes off of the mat, feel the four corners of your feet. Create a little micro bend in your knees so that you're not stacking all that pressure on the knees. Slightly tuck your tailbone down, feel broadness across your collarbones, and let your fingers reach toward the ground. Take a big breath in through the nose, intentionally deep, a few more sips of air, even once you think you're full. Pausing, and then slowly letting that go. Emptying your body of air, pushing a little bit more air out of you, even once you think you're empty. And pausing. You can let your breath return to its natural state. And on your next breath in, you can reach the arms out to the side and up and move slowly and intentionally so that you're gathering the air, getting long as possible, and interlace the hands once you get to the top and really reach them up higher than your feet. So really feel the soles of your feet and your fingertips reaching actively in opposite directions. Maybe you start to open your heart slightly toward the ceiling if that doesn't put too much pressure on your lower back. Feeling your legs intentionally holding you up. And then we'll slowly release the hands and slowly lower them down by your side. Again, feeling every change in movement. Then you can bring your hands to your shoulders and we'll draw some big circles with the elbows going forward. You can probably go forward 5 or 6 times and then switch directions. You can move as quickly or as slowly as you want to. And just really start to maybe close the eyes and visualize your ball and socket joint, the arm and the shoulder, and just get the full range of motion. Just explore all the different limits of where your shoulders are. And if you find one spot that wants a little more attention or wants a different type of movement, then just listen to that urge in your body. And then when you feel good with that, you can release and we'll just shake out the arms, shake out the hands, just ragdoll them and just get all that energy out of there. Awesome. So then you'll bring your, kind of like a chaturanga, your elbows coming close to your ribs, your fingers or your palms are facing each other. And inhale to reach up. And as you exhale, bend your right elbow down by your waist and reach over to the left. Great. And then we'll inhale back up. Exhale, other side. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend to the right. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend to the left. Now we'll continue this movement, but moving more fluidly. So try to start moving through your arms, kind of like imagining a wave moving through your arms, adding this like dancer-like motion just to become really fluid and feeling how the energy is just being rotated down the arms, through the fingertips, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers. Feeling this in the side bodies as well. And keeping it linked with your breath just a few more times. And then after your next rise up, you can go ahead and stay there. Release your arms by your side, maybe shake them out a little. Great. And now what we'll do is you can place your hands on your hip creases. So like right where your legs meet your trunk, basically. And you can do it with your elbows like this or with the sides of your pinkies. And really just find that place and lift up from there. So feel your trunk lifting out of your legs. Feel your heart be proud and start to reach forward. So we're gonna do a forward fold, well, through half lift and forward fold, but just really feeling yourself actually hinging at your hips and giving yourself the most space right there. slowly lowering. And then when you arrive, you can bend the legs generously, release the head, release the elbows, and you kind of get this cool stretch on the arms, or you can release the arms to the floor. Awesome. And then we'll slowly start to roll yourself up, first by straightening out the legs, rising up to a flat back, and then rising yourself all the way up to stand. So we're going to keep doing that, but just like what we did with the side bodies, moving, gradually moving with more fluidity. So you could start by slowly lowering down. You can keep the hands on the hip creases or on the hips, or put them wherever they're comfortable. And then once you finish your exhale, rise all the way back up, but stacking the vertebrae. So we're doing a full body wave now, opening up the heart, inhale, and exhale, fold forward, curl down, inhale, rise up. So really just let your own breath be your cue, and close the eyes and really just see what your body is doing. See the shape that you're making with your spine through the back body. You can move slowly or continue to move slowly. If you want to start speeding it up, you can do that too. Just keeping it linked with your breath, letting go of what you don't need as you fold, inhaling what you'd like more of as you rise. Let's do 3 more. And we'll meet in the forward fold after your third one. So whenever you arrive at your final forward fold, bend the knees really generously and just feel your belly resting down toward the thighs. And you can option to hug your legs kind of and grab opposite elbows behind the legs. I've been liking to doing that. You can also just let them dangle toward the floor. You can grab opposite elbows in front of you, the legs, or any other expression with the arms that comes up. But now think about what we just did when we were standing up, that moment where your legs meet your trunk, right in that hip crease, and feel yourself lifting out of that again, even in this forward fold. So feeling your heart coming away from your seat, your sit bones lifting a tiny bit higher toward the ceiling, and feeling all of this space that you're making in your lower back. And letting all of that space continue to the middle back, the upper back, the neck, the skull, continuing down the backs of the legs as well. Take 3 more big exhales here. Maybe audible exhales to really communicate to the body this sense of release. Awesome. And then on the next inhale, you can begin to bring the palms of your hands to the floor and kind of in a cat-like motion, just like those shoulder rolls we were doing standing up. Intentionally walk your hands up, and we'll come into our down dog, just rolling the shoulders forward, walking the hands 1 inch at a time, landing in your down dog. If you want to double check the distance between your hands and feet, you can roll forward into a plank position, get that distance with the wrists under the shoulders, and then from there, lift your sit bones back. And you can always step your feet in, making a shorter down dog, but you don't want to be further apart than that distance in plank. And you can maybe even look up toward those, your hip creases that we were just working on, and just trace the line between your ankles and those hip creases, and just see that they're in line with each other or close to it. And if for whatever reason that doesn't feel good in your body to be aligned in that way, just come to a place where it feels a little better. And actively lift your sit bones higher, just like in our forward fold we were just in. You can always keep the knees bent even the whole time, if that's what's good for you today. And just gradually adding length as you feel ready to do so, maybe walking out the dog. And then noticing how your hands are doing. If you're feeling some pain or pressure in your wrists, try rooting down in the base of the fingers a bit more. So the base of your thumb, where your thumb finger meets the palm, the base of your pointer, your pinky, and even in the fingertips, feel like a suction-like grip to the floor. And then maybe keeping a micro bend in the elbows so you're not stacking too much pressure there. Feeling your armpits rolling toward each other, almost as if they could face each other. So you're getting that broadness across your shoulder blades, broadness across your collarbones, relaxing your head and face fully, breathing. One more exhale here. Awesome. And then start to rise onto your tippy toes and roll your body forward. And we'll slowly land in our plank position. Your heels reach back. Your crown of the head reaches forward. Your collarbones are broad. Your shoulder blades are broad. Your stomach is pulled in toward the spine. Your inner thighs are reaching toward each other. One more breath here. And then as you exhale, lift your sit bones back and up to your down dog. So just like we've been doing, we're going to add fluid movement to this. So you can start to move at your own pace, rolling your body forward as you inhale to your plank, lifting the sit bones back as you exhale to your down dog. So the slower you move, probably the more your body will shake, the more difficult it'll be, but listen to just the way that your body wants to move. And you can explore other ways of getting back too. Like I like to be in plank and then bend my knees and then reach the sit bones back and then reach the sit bones up. So you're kind of making a circle with your sit bones. But explore and see if there's another way. We'll do 5 more rounds. So you can count every time you come into your down dog. And then we'll land in the plank. Slowly bring your knees to the floor, untuck the toes and sit the hips down. Child's pose. Fully release into the mat. Maybe you bend the elbows and just start to shake out the wrists or take some circles with your wrists. Maybe bringing the backs of your hands closer together behind the skull. And just let yourself be right here. Relax the jaw, relax the forehead. And then you can stack your hands and bring them right underneath your forehead. And just start to shake your head no, side to side. Just massaging the third eye center, the eyebrows, the forehead. And as you're doing this, relaxing your jaw, maybe wiggling that out a little bit. And then coming back, or your attention coming back to the hip creases and feeling some more length and separation from the torso and the legs. Giving yourself space there. 3 more rounds of breath. Awesome. Great job. So when you're ready, you can start to walk your fingertips forward and get really long in the side bodies once again. So it's kind of like tented fingertips. Just the fingertips are on the floor, the elbows are off the mat, and you're really just walking the fingers as far away from your sit bones as you can. And continue to root down through the sit bones and just getting that amazing length. Awesome. And then you can start to plant your palms down into the ground. Root into the hands and feel like you're dragging the floor toward your knees as you rise up to your tabletop. And you can start moving into your cat-cows right away. Inhale to lift the chin away from the sternum, to lift your tailbone away from your navel. And exhale to your cat pose, just moving at your own pace, in your own style. You can add free movements at any point if you'd like, by wagging the tail, by rolling out the shoulders or the neck. And just let this be your time to really close the eyes and dive in to your body. Dive into your spine, to your hips and shoulders. Maybe drawing some circles around your knees with your hips. Getting into the sides of the legs. It's really whatever feels good. And if you want to give the wrists a little break, you can also turn onto the backs of your hands with your fingers pointing toward your knees and your palms pointing up toward your face. That can be nice. And then just kind of rocking forward and back, stretching out your forearms. Awesome. So you can come back onto the palms if you're not there already, and come into a nice neutral tabletop so that you're feeling a straight line from your tailbone through the back of your neck and the crown of your head. Awesome. And then start to put a bend in your right elbow and look over your left shoulder. Take one breath here, inhale, and exhale, look toward the ceiling. Great, and then inhale, come back up, straighten out the right arm, and we'll exhale other side. So left arm bends, look over the right shoulder. Really forceful exhales, just twisting that air out of you. Feeling any pops and creaks that come up. And then next inhale, you can straighten, come back. And do this about 4 times on either side, moving with your breath. And as always, if you find a movement that I don't cue that feels really good in your body, always feel free to listen to your body first. My cues are just suggestions or starting points even. Awesome. So when you're feeling even on both sides with that, you can meet in our puppy pose whenever you're ready, just by walking the hands forward, leaving the hips right where they are, over your knees and the chin or the forehead coming down toward the mat. Your heart is actively softening, actively releasing into the floor. Your shoulder blades are actively drawing a tiny bit closer together and down the back. Taking big exhales here. And just like in our down dog, letting the energy reach up through the space in between the sit bones. Lifting out of the legs as well. Great, and then next inhale, just start to tuck your tailbone down toward the ground and just notice what that does to your body, and naturally follow that wave so that your shoulders start to come over the elbows, your hips come closer and closer to the ground and land in your Sphinx pose. So maybe walking the elbows forward a little bit, but seeing that they're in line with the shoulders, and root your big toes into the ground and toward each other so that your inner thighs are zipped up toward each other. Press your pubic bone into the ground, and maybe that activates your glutes, or maybe you try relaxing the glutes and notice if that feels better on your back or worse, and just choose what feels best for you. And then feel like your last lower rib can be on the mat. So maybe walking the elbows forward slightly for that. And then feeling as if you could drag your heart forward and through your upper arms. And now keep everything about your upper body the same and just step your toes so that they come to the corners of your mat. So your feet are wide. Great. And now bring your hands to opposite elbows so that your forearms are parallel to the front edge of your mat. And you'll slowly start to lower your forehead to rest on the forearms. Now, as you inhale, start to lift your arms and elbows off the mat, your upper body off the mat, and keep pressing your toes into the ground. Keep your legs active. So you're kind of like rising up. And then you exhale, release. I'll do that 3 times. Inhale to rise the arms and torso off the ground, even if it's just a centimeter. And then exhale, releasing. 2 more times. Awesome. And then you can bring your feet back closer together. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Elbows point up toward the ceiling and zip up closer toward the ribs. Start to pull your lower belly in and up. Start to tuck your toes and fire up your legs. And maybe from here, you look down at the ground and can push yourself up into a plank position. Or maybe you bend the knees and come up through a tabletop. And then wherever you are, you lift your hips and come to your down dog. Perfect. 3 breaths, let it go. Maybe lion's breath, sticking out the tongue, looking up toward the forehead. Maybe you flutter the lips. Whatever feels right. And then from here, you can step your feet closer together or to touch. And then you'll inhale, reach your right leg back and up behind you. And you can start by reaching through your heel. So feel the space from your fingertips through the arms, through the torso, and through the heel, the back of your leg and heel of the foot. And then point the foot and let that energy reach through the front of the leg. And then rotate between pointing and flexing. Maybe circling the ankle as well. Just same as always, exploring. Letting your core really help you out in lifting this leg, feeling a nice stretch down the back of the left leg. 2 more breaths. Awesome. And then using a cat spine, start to pull your knee in toward the chest, shift your shoulders over wrists, rise onto your left tippy toes, and then slowly place your right foot in between the hands. Maybe using the right hand to get it there. Great. So start to reach through your back heel, coming into that lunge position. And then feel your inner thighs reaching toward each other. Your pubic bone or your pelvic floor becomes active. And then using your core, see if you can rise yourself up to your high lunge. If this doesn't feel good or you don't want to do this, you can bring the back knee down to a low lunge. You can come to warrior 1 if that's better. Just feeling that your torso or your shoulders are aligned over your hips. They're parallel to the front edge of your mat. Your tailbone's tucking down. Crown of your head is lifting up. And that same thing we were doing in the forward fold, lifting out of that hip crease. Awesome. The feet and legs are strong. And then exhale, let's open up warrior 2. So your back heel comes, or your back foot comes parallel to the back edge of your mat. Front heel is either intersecting the back arch or in line with the back heel. Feeling proudness, expansion across the chest. Feeling those shoulders right over the hips. Breathe. Maybe you circling out the hands and the wrists, almost pointing and flexing that, or circles. Great. And now from here, we'll slowly begin to straighten out your front leg. Turn your feet parallel to each other and bring your hands to your hips. We'll inhale to lift the heart and once again lift out of the legs. And then exhale to hinge at your hips. Lead with your heart and fold to your wide leg forward fold. Your arms can land wherever they land, wherever you want them to be. on the floor or still on the hips or behind the back. Let's take 4 big exhales here. Great. And then from here, you're going to stay in your fold and just start to walk your hands over towards your left foot and turn your left toes to face out. Naturally lift your right heel and we'll come into that lunge position on the other side facing the back of your mat. And just start to get your balance here. Same thing, same cues, heel reaching back, inner thighs reaching toward each other, and then rise up to your high lunge on the other side. Awesome. So same thing. So if you want to be lifted, you can be here. You can have the back knee down. You can be in warrior one. Just focusing on your torso, focusing on your tailbone pointing down. So increasing the stretch on your right hip flexor. Crown of the head and the arms reaching up. Another breath here. And then we'll start to open up, warrior two, other side. I'm just checking in with the alignment here, feeling this expansion from your heart center, the fingers reaching the opposite direction of the heart. You can do that movement with the wrists again if you liked that. About 3 more breaths. Great, and then from here, let's cartwheel the arms down to frame your front foot. Lift your back heel, and using your core and the strength of your arms and legs, see if you can lift your foot back all the way back to your 3-legged dog. Lift that heel back and up, and we'll even out on this as well. So you can reach through your heel to start, feeling the length from the fingertips through the back of the left leg through the heel. You can point and flex the foot. Take circles with the ankle. Feel a nice stretch down the back of the right leg. Feel the strength in your core helping you out. Just a few more breaths. Okay. And then from here, slowly just lower your right or your left leg to meet your right. Bend your knees, look up toward the hands and walk your feet up to meet the hands. Inhale, lengthen the crown of the head forward, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. One full exhale here. And then next inhale, slowly rise yourself up to stand. One vertebrae at a time, reaching the arms out and up when you arrive. And exhale, hands to heart center. Let's take a moment to let all of that settle. You can turn back toward the front of your mat if you're turned around like me. And we'll move through one more little flow. What time is it? Yeah, we'll move through one more little thing and then we'll start to cool down even more. So when you're ready, you can inhale, reach the arms up, get even longer. Feel that lift from the hip crease and then lead with your heart and reach the arms forward as you do so and come down to your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the crown of the head forward, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And now walk the hands up, forward, coming into your down dog. Inhale, roll your body forward into your plank. Exhale, lower yourself down either halfway or all the way. Inhale to an up dog or a baby cobra. And exhale to your down dog. Flushing it out. Great. So on your next inhale, you can raise your right leg back and up. And this time we will point the toe, stack the hips, and bend the knee. So you feel the hips opening up toward your right. Feel your shoulders squaring toward your mat or toward the floor. Maybe take some circles with your knee, going a few times in both directions. Great, and then you can level out the hips when you're even, extend the leg as you inhale, and then exhale, knee pulls into chest, and step it to the outside of the right hand, so both hands are inside. You can maybe adjust your back foot, and then when you're ready, you can allow your back knee to drop down. You can untuck the toes or keep them tucked, whatever feels best, and we'll chill in our lizard pose. So you can stay on the hands with the arms straight, keeping your hips sinking toward the floor, keeping your heart lifting slightly up. So you're in this sunbathing lizard pose. And your right foot, your toes can be facing forward, but they can also be turned out, kind of like 45-degree angles to your right. And you can also roll to the outside edge of that foot if that feels good too. You can stay on the hands, you can come into the forearms at any time. And then once you're in a place where you feel you can hold, take 5 full intentional deep breaths. Relaxing your jaw. Your jaw and your hips and your shoulders are all connected energetically. So softening, not just the target area, softening everything. The forehead, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, the hips as well. Knowing that this will be over super shortly. Take one more full exhale. Great. And slowly begin to come back onto your hands. Start to bring your toes to face forward and then slowly lift your sit bones back and up, straightening out your front leg. Maybe rising the toes off the ground for a moment, stretching into your hamstring, and then gradually you can heel toe your right foot off to the left side of your mat, and we'll come into our pigeon pose. So you could step the hands in front of the shin, bend the knee, bring that down to the ground, and your foot might come in closer toward the body. That is okay. Just take a peek at your back leg, make sure that's good, and staying lifted for as long as you'd like. And walking the arms forward, doing that same thing we've been doing, lifting out of that hip crease, getting your body nice and long, eventually coming down to your sleeping pigeon. And just picturing the relationship between your shoulders and your hips. And they should be pretty even with each other. Your right hip might be wanting to dip down toward the ground. And if so, try to lift it up slightly just so that your sacrum is even and you're not sacrificing any amount of the stretch. You can always place a blanket or something underneath that hip if you need some support. But same thing as in lizard, softening your shoulders consciously, softening your jaw consciously, noticing the tendency to tense up. And letting this almost be a challenge to you. All of the energy that you usually use for power things, for exerting, for kind of pushing yourself, see if you can use that same energy to relax. Everything that you would channel into exertion, see if you can channel that same stuff into relaxation, to softening. Three more exhales. And then we'll slowly begin to come on to the elbows, come onto the hands. Tuck your back toes under and just start to scooch your knee up by inching that. And then maybe you come back into a three-legged tabletop or a three-legged down dog and just shake out your right leg. You just did so much. Maybe wiggle it side to side, just whatever feels good. Whatever you need to reset. And then eventually we'll meet back in our downward facing dog. And we'll do that same thing on the other side. So just feeling the difference first in the hips. And then as you're ready to, you can raise your left leg back and up. Exhale to point the toes, stack the hips, bend the knee. And take some circles with your left knee. Going big a few times in both directions. And then once you feel even, you can level out your hips, extend the leg as you inhale, and exhale, pull that knee into the chest and step your left foot outside of your left hand, coming into that lizard on the other side. So same stuff as the other side. You can keep your back leg lifted. You can allow it to slowly come down to the mat. You can keep the back toes tucked or untuck. Your left toes can be facing forward or about 45 degrees out. It can be on the sole of the foot, rooting down in the big toe mound, or rolling to the outside edge of that foot, or a combination of all of it. Your hips can be heavy, your heart can be lifted. You can be on your forearms. It's eventually finding your way to a position you can hold for 5 deep breaths. Feeling the urge to maybe run away from this discomfort and remind yourself that this will be over before you know it. Just seeing what you can let go in the next 3 breaths. Let go of the shoulders. Let go of the jaw. And let go of the hips. And when you are ready, you can start to come onto the hands. Turn your toes to face forward and then slowly straighten out your left leg. Maybe you lift the toes and pause for a moment to stretch out your hamstring, but eventually making your way to heel toe that foot off to the right side of the mat. Place the hands in front of the shin. Slowly bend your legs so that your knee comes to the floor. And we'll be in our pigeon on the other side. The same thing, you can maybe stay lifted and feel that lift out of your hip creases again, and keep that length as you start to come forward. Lead with your heart, walk your hands forward, keeping the spine long. And then eventually resting your head down to wherever it meets. And now allow yourself to fully let go here. Feel your body just melting closer to the earth. Feel any energy being used to resist and to pull the muscles closer together. Become aware of that energy and then allow it to flip and to start to spread the muscles away from each other. Start to actively release. To give in to this current situation, give in to this moment. Practicing acceptance always. This is where yoga can be so helpful to us. Is finding some comfort within the discomfort. Being able to sit in positions and find some peace of mind. Even if it's just a little bit, this is what helps us for moving through difficult things in our everyday life. Growing our ability to put up with, or to not even put up with, to thrive within the discomfort, to give in to what is happening and release the need to fight and change. The first step to change is accepting what it is that needs to be changed, and accepting when things don't need to be changed. So take one more full exhale. And then really slowly and gently, you can start to rise your head off of the hands, come onto the elbows, onto the hands, and just shift your weight into your left hip. You can look back towards your right leg and just bring that around in front. So you're coming to a seat. You can maybe lean back and just shake out the legs, or windshield wiper your feet, or bend the knees and windshield wiper those. So from here, we'll do probably one seated pose, and then we'll come to lay down. You can come to your seat, and we'll finish up with a lot of twists. So what you can do is bend your right knee in toward the chest and step that to the outside of your left leg. Bring your right hand back behind you, and inhale to lift your heart and lift your left arm. And exhale to bend the elbow, maybe hook it to the outside of the right knee and look over the right shoulder. And twist. Inhale to lift the crown of your head. Exhale to bring that chin over the right shoulder slightly, or toward the right shoulder. Feel your hips staying parallel to the front edge of your mat, and your shoulders coming more parallel to the side edge of your mat, or the long edge. And then noticing the navel, noticing your belly button, that point where you are twisting. And by gently, as you exhale, pulling the navel toward the spine, you'll find a tiny bit more space to twist. One more full round of breath. Great. And then as you start to unwind, you can bring your head back to center, your shoulders back to center. Grab your leg and release that, bring that back down to center. And we'll do it on the other side. So you can hug your left knee into the chest, step the foot outside of the right thigh, bring your left hand back behind your seat, and inhale, right arm reaches, and exhale to twist. So same thing, feeling the hips staying square to the front, the shoulders staying square to your side, the crown of your head getting taller. On your exhales, looking over that left shoulder. And just noticing where you're feeling this the most, noticing where your attention is drawn to. Becoming curious about where your attention is being drawn to. And one more full round of breath. And then you can start to unwind, turn your head back to center, the shoulders, uncross the legs, shake them out. And then let's come onto our backs. If you want to do anything else, you want to tap down the legs or the hips, you can do that. But in your own time, making your way down, maybe hugging the knees toward the chest and rocking side to side. Maybe windshield wipering the legs again. And just feeling the weight of your body and the contact your body's making with the mat. Just really massaging yourself out. Massaging your lower back, those organs. And then from here, you can just keep rocking and then let your knees fall to the right and just let them stay there. Your left shoulder can be reaching toward the mat. You can start to look over your left shoulder or fingertips if you want to twist up your neck a little as well. And you can explore your options with your legs. So maybe it feels good to cross your legs with each other. Maybe it feels good to keep them stacked. Maybe it feels good to extend your bottom leg, your right leg. And just getting to a point where you can be a little bit more still, where you can find that moment of stillness and stay there for 3 deep exhales. And let yourself unfold deeper into the pose naturally. One more full breath. And then you can bring your gaze back toward the ceiling. You can bring your knees back to center. And pause for a moment in the center. Just observe. And then when you're ready, you can go to the other side. So you can hug the knees toward the chest and just let them fall off to the left. Maybe looking over the right shoulder or fingertips. And just taking whatever expression you took of this twist on the other side, on this side as well. And relaxing your forehead, relaxing your jaw. Soften the shoulders, soften your left shoulder and the right shoulder. And soften the outside of your left hip. Soften the inner thighs, the outside of the right hip. Soften the stomach. And soften your brain and your scalp and hairline. You feel yourself just melting a tiny bit closer toward the earth. For 2 more breaths. And then gently you can guide your gaze back straight up. You can guide your knees to center. And maybe you hug the knees toward the chest and do some movements, or maybe do something else. But whenever you are ready, you can bring your feet up toward the ceiling and just shake them out. And then release all the muscles, every single muscle in your feet, every single muscle in your legs. And just let them hang out in the hip sockets. Find that space of stillness and rest there. When you're ready, you can bring your arms up to do the same. Release. Maybe you shake them out at first, and then you release every muscle in your hands, every muscle in your arms. So that all your limbs are resting in their sockets, the arms and the shoulders, the legs and the hips, and the 4 corners of your torso being pinned against the mat by the weight of your own limbs and gravity. The brain is resting toward the back of the skull. The throat is resting toward the back of the neck. All your organs resting into their rightful places. A few more breaths just like this. Allowing any energy that doesn't serve you any longer to exit through the palms of the hands and the feet. And then from here, if you'd like to, you can come into your happy baby, reaching for the outside edges of the feet or the toes or the thighs, opening up your hips toward the ceiling, bringing the knees a little closer to the armpits, maybe finding stillness or maybe rocking, maybe straightening one leg at a time or both. And then whenever you're ready, you can bring your soles of your feet to touch, slowly lower the outside edges of your feet to the mat, and pause in your reclined bound ankle pose. Permission to stay here for the remainder of your Shavasana if you would like, or at any point in the next 5 or 6 minutes if you feel like straightening out the legs or coming to a different version of Shavasana, you may do so. Just feeling as if your body was full of sand, and all the sand in your body is naturally resting to the back body. Allowing yourself to be pinned against the mat, allowing yourself this moment of rest, knowing that it will be over soon. So enjoying it while we have it. Feeling all the muscles throughout the face surrender toward the back of the skull. All the muscles in the shoulders surrendering to the back body. Muscles in the arms, the stomach, the hips, the glutes, the legs. Feeling everything surrender toward the back body and feeling the front body opening up to receiving. The front of the heart opening up to receive this healing practice, to allow all the postures we've practiced today to solidify within your body, trusting that you have done everything that was needed of you. And this practice has worked and will continue to be healing you throughout the rest of your weekend. And feeling thankful, a deep sense of gratitude for your heart that is beating right now. For your ears for being able to hear these words. Thanks to your eyes for being able to see whatever it is that they see. Giving thanks to your mouth, your sense of taste, all your taste buds, your nose and sense of smell, especially if you maybe lost those for some time this past year. And just reminding yourself of all that you always have to be grateful for. And just letting that gratitude take over the body for the next minute of your life. If you'd like to stay here longer, feel free to do so. If you're feeling ready to slowly come out of this practice, you can just follow my cues, beginning by noticing your breath and how slow it's become. And then consciously calling air into the body. Consciously deepening the breath, feeling yourself be flooded with this air each time you inhale, to the fingertips, to the toes, to the crown of the head. Letting that start to wiggle the fingers, start to wiggle the toes and the head. Maybe that turns into a big morning stretch, getting as long as possible. And then whenever you're ready, finding your way to a fetal position on one side. And pausing for a moment here just to honor this primal pose. And then as you're ready, gently making your way up to your seat. Meeting with the eyes closed and hands at heart center. And just take a moment to bow your head and truly, deeply thank yourself. Thank the energy that created you and thank all who guide you and love you. May this practice continue to heal you through the rest of your days and nights, and may you bring this love to everything that you do and to everyone that you see. Namaste.